search to fill the void, an unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encounter Cast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncounterCast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Final Encounter Cast. Thanks for joining us, twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. The show gets started at 1 p.m. You can join us live if you ever want to sound off on anything that you hear on the show. You can give us a call. Final Encounter Cast on Skype, 810-207-1764. Of course, joining me, as always, is the Final Encounter Cast crew. We've got Callie in full... so is it she today?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Full war paint.
Full war paint. There you go. Nika is also joining us. Robbie's here as well. And Fatty McFat over in the corner. Hi.
Excuse me, it says Fat the second.
I know. I have to correct that.
It's got to
be Fatty McFat now. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. FinalEncounterCast.com is where you can find an archive of our show going back 83 episodes, including this one.
Man, we're old.
I know, right? Like, this show got old quick.
Yeah.
That's what our fans would say.
I know it. We'll get to that.
Wow.
We'll get to that here in a second here on Final Encounter Cast. But thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate having you along. Of course, again, if you want to sound off on anything that you hear, Final Encounter Cast on Skype, 810-207-1764. You know what would be nice is if you tracked us down on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever you want to call it, and left us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. Instead of writing 6 paragraphs of a pissy email, why don't you just go ahead and leave an iTunes review? We'd love to hear from you. Find us a Final Encounter Cast on iTunes or Google Play. And of course, this show is supported by your generous support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. We are well below what our funding threshold should be for this show. But
on an order of like 40%?
Yeah, like kind of a lot. And in fact, I don't think we even pay ourselves to do the show anymore.
We do not.
No.
We just do this for fun because we like doing it. So
And because Nate yells at us if we say we don't want to.
Kind of that too. I don't want to do the show alone. I tried that once. It was called Nate in the Morning, and it didn't go very well.
You sure that it might just be that nobody gets up in the morning?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I never heard about Nate in the morning.
I was trying to discover if there was any interest in people watching stuff in the morning on Twitch, and the answer is no.
The real answer was he wanted to see if he could do this without us, because then he could just drop all the dead weight.
Well, it was supposed to be Nate and Kate in the morning, but
I see what you did there.
My co-host, it turns out she is deathly allergic to my cat. That didn't work out. Didn't work out so well. So it just became Nate in the morning, and
See, you should have did Nate and Fritz in the morning.
Yeah, I guess
People would watch that.
people still bug me about it. Like, is that ever going to come back? Probably not. I don't know.
liked it.
But anyway, patreon.com/Limit Break Radio is how you can ensure that this show keeps going, because that would be an enormous help. You know, we have been working on a lot of different things here at the channel, the company, the brand.
We've been working on stuff.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff that we've been working on, including Checkpoint Radio. You can find that at checkpointradio.com. It's a 2-hour weekly talk show about esports and video games. There's also a podcast that goes along with it. That podcast this week was almost an hour long. You can find that at the Final Encounter Cast feed as a syndicated dedicated special. But we would also encourage you, if you like the show, seek it out over at checkpointradio.com or on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. So,
All right, they get it. Don't shove it down their throats, man.
okay, all right, Jesus.
He's just real pushy is all.
But the thing is that, all of these different things that we're working on right now, they're all funded and supported over by patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. So far through Checkpoint Radio, we have not received any returns yet. I mean, we're told that they're
On the way.
they're on the way,
They're
that
in
they're
the-
there.
yeah. Winter's coming, guys.
Right, yeah, exactly.
No, really, we need to pay heating bills.
Yeah, I know. Here's the thing is that, if you enjoy any of our products, if you enjoy any of our shows, whether it's Limit Break Radio, whether it's Final Encounter Cast, or whether it's Checkpoint, we ask that you go kick in a little bit, whatever's comfortable for your budget, over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. That's a monthly gift, by the way. So, and for that, you get access to the Green Room videos, which we have started doing again now.
Yep.
So those are going back up.
Last week's was pretty good.
Last week's was pretty good. We were playing the Battlefield 2 beta.
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry for.
I do the same
Yeah, I
thing.
know.
Yeah.
We were playing the Battlefront 2 beta last week. This week we work out some of the specifics for Checkpoint this week. So if you want a little bit of a preview into what we're going to be talking about on Checkpoint, you can find that on our Green Room videos. Just $1 a month gets you access to that kind of stuff. But we've also got all kinds of other ways to say thank you. Little trinkets and stuff that you can get over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. We've been talking for a while about getting some Final Encounter Cast themed swag over there. We're definitely going to do that eventually. I don't know about Checkpoint stuff. There's like legal questions
Yeah.
about that because there's like this whole there's supposed to be a way that is funded, and it's not supposed to be begging for donations. So there's
not volunteer radio.
there's like FTC rules and laws and shit about that. So we got to make sure that we follow that. So again, checkpointradio.com, finalencountercast.com, limitbreakradio.com, and patreon.com/limitbreakradio is how you can support all of it. Nika, let people know about what's going on for Extra Life.
Yes, Extra Life is coming on November 4th. I'm telling you, I get notifications when people sign up, when people get donations, and I've got nothing. You guys can do this.
So that means, Nika, that it will let you know when we sign up. So until then, lay off. You're forcing it down people's throats.
Because I think that the out of sight, out of mind, I know how this works. You're going to forget about it. Extra Life is a 24-hour gaming marathon. You can play video games. You can play tabletop games. You can play anything. It's really the honor system. But in the end, all the donations you receive go 100% of it goes all to the Children's Miracle Network, a hospital of your choice. And it's all for charity, and it's video games, and it's awesome. Who wouldn't want to do it? It's on November 4th. Sign up for Team Limit Break Radio. Kookie's posted the link in the chat. You can do it. I am not the worst hype man. I am super hype about it. I've been doing this every year for the last couple of years, and it's amazing. Please do it. Waiting for you guys to sign up.
Sign up, participate, extra-life.org/team/Limit Break Radio. If you're thinking about participating in Extra Life, you want a team to participate with, you don't even have to do it on November 4th, but make sure that you're registered either at just extra-life.org or registered with Team Limit Break Radio. So we're going to be, I'm sure that, Nika's going to be live on November 4th. I'm sure Fat is going to be joining her at some point for something, right?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. That's going to happen.
I'm sorry.
You
I have
better
my
be.
own child to take care of. And my own child has its own
So
problems.
the day when your child needs the Children's Miracle Network.
This is here's what this means, okay? Chris, if you don't show up, it definitely means that your baby's going to get cancer.
Wait, hold on. He said his baby has problems
Yeah, what
he has to deal with. What
problems?
problems does your baby have except having the name Roberta and you as a father?
Yeah,
He has club feet.
Oh my God.
Actually, that really sucks.
I don't
That
like.
really sucks.
Do you get a membership card for that?
No, I mean, does she have to get surgery to correct that?
Get it? Yes. I get it. Nice one.
I would have expected something like sandwich feet.
Is that like a 20% off discount?
It's not even that funny of a joke. The only reason you're laughing is because it's at my expense.
It does help.
Oh, we're so good.
Does she? I mean, does she
Wait,
have
real
to?
talk. Does she have to get surgery to correct that, or what?
Does she get
no,
to? Does she get to buy 30% of shoes
All
and
right,
just
shut
wear
the
the
fuck up.
30% of the
You're
shoes?
She
I
doesn't
asked
even
a real
walk
question.
yet.
I'm
How is that a
curious.
problem right now?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What? Well, you have to fix it right now because she's not walking right now. We're going to the doctor, to the orthopedic pediatrician on Wednesday, and we're gonna have a consultation.
Yeah, if you wait until she's
Whoa.
walking to fix it, that's actually worse.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Why would you wait? That's
just
why
saying.
you're not a father.
This is why
'Cause
it's not,
you're
it's
a
not
bad
a problem
person.
yet. So, see, you're fixing it ahead of time. Good job.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm called responsible.
Listen,
I don't
I'm
like
just,
hearing Fat talk about words like consultation.
I'm just saying. Listen, I'm just saying that if you don't participate in Extra Life, there's definitely like 100% chance that your baby gets cancer.
That's actually not a thing.
Okay,
mean-
but if she does, no one's going to feel sorry.
Wait, are you saying? Are
No
you
one
saying?
would feel sorry anyway.
Are you saying baby cancer isn't a thing?
No, I'm saying that if I don't do a thing, that she's gonna get cancer.
Oh,
Also,
well.
like toss her in the microwave or something.
So when she.
Oh my God! Stop! This is killing me.
So when she.
guys
No,
are
it's-
horrible
So
people.
so when so when she gets cancer, we know who to blame.
You don't get any Extra Life money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the Children's Miracle Network will pass you up because they're like, you're in Flint. You did this to yourself.
Actually, I get more money because I'm in Flint.
But not from Extra Life.
I don't need Extra Life money.
Okay.
Okay.
I have Flint government money. That baby,
Yeah,
that
that's-
baby is covered until she's like 21 years old.
Well, as of now.
That sweet, sweet Flint government money.
Yeah, it's gone.
That unending.
And it's gone.
Yeah, right. That's what I was gonna say. Anyway, extra-life.org/team/Limit Break Radio. Make sure. Listen, the more of you that sign up, it just means that there's a better chance of Chris's kid getting cancer. So. Sign
What?
up. Wait, hang on. I don't know
No,
if
that's-
is
might
that
have
how
gotten
this
that
is how that
backwards.
works, right?
No.
Okay.
Don't even say things like that.
Like it would inspire you to like go sign up, but most people that wouldn't inspire people.
I mean, I
And most people, any babies with cancer is a bad thing.
I don't know if you know our audience. I mean,
I don't know. One dude said that if you were his friend and you said about his baby, he'd punch you.
I'm pretty sure that Zamfir would sign up to make sure that your baby got cancer.
Is that the standard we want to go with?
I'm
What
ju- well,
Zamfir would
no.
do?
I'm just saying he's that
Zanfir
much of
would
a shit.
defend people's right to give cancer,
Okay.
or to
Yes.
want to
I'm
give,
sorry.
to want to give
Excuse
cancer.
excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't make that distinction.
Yeah.
Anyway. extra-life.org/team/Limit Break Radio. Make sure that babies don't get cancer, except for Chris's.
That's better.
I
His
guess
baby
that's
didn't do
fair.
anything wrong.
Except
mean-
that he's sitting here and being a little bitch about it.
He didn't do anything right either.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't do the right thing.
I mean, if having my baby have cancer would stop cancer from all the other babies.
Okay, now stop
This
it.
is getting real philosophical.
Now we're having an ethical dilemma on the show.
All you have to do is play Hearthstone while you hold her. Boom, it's done.
I already do that.
Exactly. That's
Just
our point.
You literally just have to turn your camera on and do that.
Yeah. Well, why is that so hard?
Well, I mean, technically, I don't even have to do that. Just sign up and say I'm doing that.
That would at
It
least
is on
get
the
Nika
honor
to
system.
shut up about one of us signing up.
Well, you guys are you going to YomoCon?
Yes.
Okay,
But-
then
but
I'm
I-
not trying to get you guys.
But that's the point, though, is that we're. I mean, each of us are going to do makeup streams. I mean, all of us have to participate. I'm making that a rule this year. All of us have to
Oh,
participate.
you never specified that.
Oh, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. All of us have to participate this year.
Oh, see, now
okay.
I don't
Why
want to do
aren't
this
any-
anymore.
then why aren't
guess
any of
what?
you signed up yet?
It's mandatory.
Well, because up until now we didn't realize it was mandatory.
Yeah,
so,
okay,
all
well,
right.
fine.
Yeah.
That's no
Oh,
problem.
I'm sorry. Helping children, such a big commitment. Oh man, so sad.
I didn't
feel
think
so
I
bad
had
for
to.
you.
I didn't think I had to make it mandatory, but now it's mandatory.
Okay, there, problem solved.
There we
Everybody
go.
can do it.
See, now I'm fine with that because now you assholes have to do work too.
I was always going to do a makeup stream at some point.
10 years from now.
To be honest, I'd rather see Callie do a makeup stream
I
than
see.
you.
Duke Burton actually suggested a makeup
This
stream.
is a makeup stream right now.
Yeah.
Well, not right now. He's already had the makeup. It's made up stream.
I,
It's all pretend.
I can't even follow that.
It's all about the tents, Robbie.
Okay.
It's all anyway. All right. I guess let's
Camping?
just. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Getting in here today sucked.
Yeah, it sure
Getting
did.
into the studio today was a load of ass.
Sure did. There's also a lot of bad weather right now. A lot of wind, a lot of rain.
It's been raining, I think, in Michigan for like 6 years.
Yeah.
Is this
pretty
ever
much.
going to stop?
I don't know. The fucking humidity is just ridiculous today. Like, you would think if it's this rainy that it would be like 58 degrees out, but it's not. It's like 74.
This unbelievable amount of rain sucks, and anyone who wants rain sucks more.
Yeah.
Right,
Fuck you,
California?
California. Oh damn.
Well,
man.
they need it.
Do they?
They're on fire.
Yeah,
That's
they
I mean,
are.
the northern portion
not
of
know that?
California is on fire.
I heard that there was a wildfire. I didn't know that.
Oh,
was
there's
half of
there's
California.
like lots of them.
There's
Yeah, a
lots
lot of my
fire.
friends in California are posting the sky at like 1 p.m. It's completely dark and orange like it's sunset. It's
Yeah.
really
Whoa!
It's fucked
Yeah,
up. It's fucked
scary.
up. Like you should see some of the video, like some of the dash cam video that's coming out of there.
Yeah.
It's like the end of the fucking world.
That's terrifying.
Oh, it is absolutely terrifying. It's
All
like
right, fair
driving
enough.
through the mouth of hell.
Fair enough. I'll take it back. Never mind. That sucks ass.
Anyway, yeah, if you live in California, good luck. Seriously, stay safe. Fire's nothing to fuck around with. It moves quickly, and it can engulf your entire house in minutes. Like, literally minutes. It's not like a hurricane where you have tons of time to evacuate. If you get an order, take the order. So, big shout out to everyone listening in California. I know that we got a lot of listeners in California. So, let's check out what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
With The Evil Within 2 having launched last week, Bethesda is celebrating with a charity event to raise money for the American Red Cross. They're matching whatever people pledge towards the donation goal in an event fittingly enough called The Good Within. It's a funny bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a clever name for sure.
Isn't American Red Cross like one of the shittiest charities in the world?
You know, I've been hearing various things about the Red Cross and the ability for them to get money to the people who you're supposedly donating it to.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of various things. I mean, I hear a lot, dude. There's like charities are one of the kind of most shady organizations that you can give money to sometimes, especially if they're not transparent with what happens to your money after they collect it.
Yeah.
You know, it's an unfortunate fact, but a lot, you know, we're in October, so it might as well you might as well talk about it. Like, that's the thing, is that more money goes to the promotion of breast cancer awareness in, you know, August, or, you know, the little pink ribbons or whatever it is, than actually gets to the scientists and to the researchers that are ostensibly doing the cancer research. So you got to kind of ask yourself, like, what is your money really going to promote? Is it going to promote buying pink t-shirts for the NFL and buying pink, you know, pizza boxes for Hungry Howie's? Or is it actually going to breast cancer research? And if you're someone where it is really important that money actually gets to researchers, then I think you got to do a little bit homework on a little bit of homework on where your money goes.
Oculus looks to be attempting to respond to some of the common complaints about VR, namely the cost and the spec requirements. They're releasing a self-contained VR headset called the Oculus Go in 2018. Spec-wise, it sits between the Oculus Rift and the Mobile Gear VR and is priced at $200.
Stop putting go on things. Stop putting go on things.
All right, that also. But okay, it sits between Oculus and the mobile VR. Isn't that just a headset you slide your phone into?
With Mobile Gear VR?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not actually VR. So basically, this exists between not VR and VR.
Right.
Great. That's
Cool.
awesome. Cool.
Yay.
Well,
It's good to fucking know.
It's a good price, though.
You do use your phone as the
depends.
screen, but it still does function as VR.
Depending on how good it is, maybe.
I mean, the Samsung one was fine. I haven't used Mobile Gear VR. I don't know about that one. Samsung one was fine.
What's fine mean though? Like what did you actually have? What can you get on your phone that's worthwhile to do VR?
That's true. I was using it for things like Netflix. So
see, I would.
Well, of course it's fine. You put a fucking screen in front of your face for Netflix. It's fine so long as you can see the damn screen.
I don't know. I think that you know, like, if there were some compelling AR applications that were out there, I'd say maybe this had more of a market.
See, definitely in the AR realm, if it uses the camera more, you put it on so that way you ain't got to worry about holding your phone
exactly
up.
right.
Absolutely.
It's battery. It's got the battery in there. Like
That
you
could
can
work.
that. I think would be a lot different. But that's I don't know any good apps or applications that have been able to pull that off.
Yeah.
In a satisfying way.
See, it'll be interesting to see if this is actually VR because, like Duke here says, they sell quote-unquote VR machines at Walmart for $15. There's like a certain part of like the retail world that anything that you put over your eyes counts as virtual reality.
Right.
Master Q Fox suggesting Pornhub needs to get in on this.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is already tons of VR porn out there.
Super is.
With accessories.
Wait, really?
That's when it becomes AR at that point.
Well, you haven't seen like the awkward looks like boob and vagina
No.
attachment?
Have you?
Yeah, it's on Facebook. It's really awkward. It's got like a Japanese guy just going to town on this
Yep.
thing.
I saw that.
Wow. No.
It was on Facebook.
What do you people click on?
That gets you that advertisement.
that would
No,
that would
it wasn't
populate
an advertisement. People were sharing the article.
Yeah.
Okay, guess
Oh,
what?
okay.
It didn't come across any of our timelines.
Yeah, that's interesting.
because our Facebooks know. You know what? These guys ain't that
because
fucked
your
up.
Facebooks don't like sex. Okay. Interesting.
I was gonna say I look up a lot
They
of
like-
porn, but
No,
Japanese
they-
guys going to town on augmented reality like orifices. No, that doesn't show up on my timeline.
yeah, my friends like girls.
Yeah, like I get a lot of ads for dating sites and stuff like that, but
Zeusk.
yeah, like but not
Lonely
not
people.
porn. That's a little weird. Cause when I watch porn, even though I live alone and all of these computers are mine, I still use fucking private browsing.
Incognito.
Yes, I use
Why?
incognito mode all the time because I do not want my fucking ad algorithm affected by that shit.
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't, and it doesn't affect my ad algorithm. So what the fuck are you guys looking up?
Okay, that's actually an even better question.
Again, it's people going, "Oh, Japan's at it again." That was literally like every comment.
Okay, see, that's why. It's because they have their toe or their foot in weeb culture.
Yes,
Fair.
that's why.
Yeah.
A Phoenix elementary school is pulling the plug on a controversial game used to teach kids about slavery. The game Flight to Freedom puts the player in the position of a 14-year-old girl trying to escape a plantation. A win will see you escape to freedom, whereas failure will result in you being sold back into slavery.
That's pretty brutal.
Wow.
It is, but I feel like if the game is well done, it could be really eye-opening.
Absolutely.
So why are they removing it?
Absolutely.
I was gonna say,
Was it a good game?
That's what my question would have been. Just
Right.
because this addresses, slavery doesn't mean that it should be removed. But if it addresses it in a way that's, really insensitive, that could be a problem. There are some schools that are taking To Kill a Mockingbird off their reading list because it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, see, that's stupid. But this I get. I'm all for you absolutely should teach about slavery. It was a dark and awful period in our history.
Yep.
But turning it into a game for kids to make it oh, here's my end goal. I don't know if I like that.
Because when
hold
you
on,
think
hang
back
on.
to the type of games that you played in school, it's
Right.
I mean, if we think look, if some big AAA company were to tackle this because they really wanted to send a message about slavery, then yeah, they could probably come up with a really compelling narrative in game that really shows how fucking terrible and brutal that it was, right?
Well, hang on. Do you guys remember when you were going through high school when we would have that kind of flat? At least this was something that happened a couple of times when I was going through school. But they would be games based on they would be flashcard games, but they would be trying to teach you about the Holocaust or trying to teach you about something really painful. There was one that we had where it was sort of like a early version of Papers, Please, right? Have you ever played,
Yeah, I know
have you ever
Papers,
played
Please,
that
yep.
game? Okay, all right. So it was sort of like a non-video game version of Papers, Please, and each person within 3 different classes was given an identity. And then you had someone who was responsible for letting them into the country or not letting them into the country. And it was designed to teach us about immigration.
Yeah.
And what's the difference? What's the difference when you take something something like that and then make it into a digital product,
For me, I think the difference is that you were in high school and they were allowed to be a little bit more brutal and honest. This is an elementary school game. There's nothing like that's going to be brutal or accurately depicting what this was like for elementary schoolers.
I don't know that. I'd actually have to see the content of the game.
Because is it like a sixth grader? Because sixth graders are still like 11.
It just says elementary school.
Yeah, no, it definitely does come down to the execution. Like, are they just setting people in front, kids in front of games and saying go to town, or are they actually explaining and really going into detail like what some of this means? Because to kids that age, it might just be, oh, I lost, oh, I won. No big deal. Like again, when you talk about this game, you and the people that are actually participating in it, the decision is now on you. And again, as a high school student, I think that you can sense the gravity of those decisions a lot more than elementary school.
Yes. Is elementary school kind of young? Sure. But I don't see, like, I feel like the reaction is more to the fact that it's a video game and less to the fact that it's like a teaching tool or what it's supposed to be teaching or how it's teaching it.
That's probably fair.
None of those things are really talked about in this article. It's really just the fact that it was a video game based off of slavery. And so I think, can it be problematic if it removes the nuances of slavery? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it can be equally problematic if the school is coming in and saying, well, this is too difficult to teach an 11 or 12-year-old. I don't think that that's true. That's American history.
Yeah.
So, I think that the context and the content are kind of, more important here than necessarily just like, oh, it's a game based off slavery. Oh my God.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Epic Games is suing 2 individuals for creating and selling cheats for Fortnite. Using Blizzard's strategy, they're alleging copyright infringement against the 2 individuals, with each instance carrying a penalty of up to $150,000.
Wow. First they're going to rip off PUBG's game. Now they're going to rip off Blizzard's strategies. Man, Epic.
I just, is this not bizarre to anyone else? Like,
suing cheat makers? Not really.
The fact that suing cheat makers is like a normal thing now.
Well, I mean, look, because Blizzard set the precedent when they got what was the name of that cheat maker from Germany? I think
something brother.
Yeah, they set the precedent that by people buying your cheats and then cheating in our game, and then getting banned, that takes money out of our pockets.
I mean, yes, I understand. I mean, it's not that I don't understand the logic that they're bringing with them to court. I do understand it. What I don't understand is how is this? I mean, how is it that it's holding up in court? Like, I can understand the complaint, but I don't understand how a judge looks at that and goes, yeah, okay, that is legitimately, because I think that there's 2 different ways to kind of classify a cheat, and I'm not sure that the U.S. courts are nuanced enough to make this distinction. There is a cheat that affects your online player base, and I think that is way more damaging and way more obviously damaging, right?
Yeah, okay.
And then there are like offline cheats or cheats for single player games where it really doesn't mean anything or matter.
I get
right?
that, yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're taking software and you're accessing or altering the code of that, right? Now, if there's an online component, if there's a online service that comes along with it, I think that does carry a little bit of a different consideration, because that is kind of like hacking an online service.
Yeah.
But hacking software that you own has never been illegal.
Okay, well, and in every case that I'm aware of that we've talked about on this show, it's been the former, right? It's always, first it was with Overwatch, now it's with this Fortnite, the Battle Royale style one.
Not Battle Royale, just Fortnite.
Oh, just Fortnite in general?
Yeah.
Okay, well, and I assume that the reason they're targeting these cheat makers is they're probably profiting off of it as well.
Yes. I mean, yes, that's a big aspect to it, but I mean, how is that necessarily any different from Game Genie? Profit. I mean,
do they still make Game Genies?
Game
Shark was around for. I'm sure Game Shark.
Yeah, I mean, Game Shark.
Nowadays, it's Power Play. Is that
Power Saves? There's all kinds of various cheat devices out there. But not only that, but it's easier to strip code than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that. I mean, can you imagine someone going to jail one day for doing like a randomized Pokemon Nuzlocke mod. You know what I mean? Like, where does that end? Where is the logical extension of this? You know, where
I honestly, I think where they draw the line is whether or not it affects their bottom line, because you're right. If someone's just doing cheat codes on a single player game that they already bought, that doesn't affect the company in any way. Like, I've already gotten your money. You're not affecting other players with it. But when you're actually making cheats, selling them, that's compromising online play, that is damaging to the game. And so, you know, yeah, I could see them pursuing litigation. But again,
but
if
it's more damaging to the online environment, though.
Yeah, well, yes, to the online environment. Because
Right.
in single-player games, why would I spend money on litigation to stop that from happening when the only thing it's changing is the game
yourself,
for
yeah.
that person? Yeah.
Right. It's concerning because, like, you know, if you can prosecute someone for altering a video game code, then, you know, like, I understand what proprietary software is. I understand
really
terms
curious,
of service.
You're really curious about like what are they being prosecuted for specifically? What's
Right.
like the verbiage on it? Because you're right. If you're prosecuting them because they've hacked or changed coding, that could technically, if they wanted to, be applied to anyone that does so.
Right.
But if it's specifically worded in a way that, you know, they're profiting off of distributing cheats, that's different.
Right. And I don't think anyone should be hauled off for, you know, having a Raspberry Pi, or, you know what I mean, like, or
I don't know, let's throw Fat in jail.
Yeah.
Would he fit?
But no, it's, you know, there's tons of different, you know, someone who takes apart, you know, something that they bought and to figure out how it works. Like, that's always been kind of like a fundamental American value, right? Like, you can buy something, take it home, and sort of, you can't copy it and then try to sell it, because that infringes on their patents and their copyrights. But figuring out how something works by disassembling it, that's a very normal thing. I can, you know, my dad used to tell me stories about how he would build radio transistors, and, you know, there were kits for that, and you know, the way that you kind of learned it the first time was by breaking your parents' radio and having to buy them a new one. And at least that's the way that he did it. And I think that, you know, should someone be able to copy the thing that you make and make money off of it? Absolutely not. But should you be able to open things up and learn about it? Absolutely.
Well, and for me, that's where the line always is, too. If these guys are just making cheats and, you know, they're using them themselves, whatever. Well, when you go online and start trying to sell them, no, the company has every right to sue your ass.
I mean, yeah, that is true. That is true. But that is just an altering of code, right? Like, think of the minor infraction that is. It's
what it actually physically comes down to doing.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
It's so bizarre. Like, it's a very odd concept, and it's a little Orwellian, I gotta say.
Well, it is, but I mean, like, that's kind of also society today, where a lot of major things come down to maybe a couple lines of code.
Yeah, man, that's true, though. That is very true.
Stories started circulating this week claiming Russians had hacked Pokemon Go. Now, while Russians did indeed try to use Pokemon Go to foment dissension in the U.S., the word hack is not exactly accurate. Instead, they circulated a contest promising Amazon gift cards as prizes to players who would go to the sites of police brutality and name Pokemon after the victims. Jeez. No confirmed reports of anyone actually doing it have surfaced yet.
So, yeah, this is... Okay, again, you know, when we start talking about all the Russian stuff, you know, like all of the Russian hacking, like this is why I'm concerned. This is one of the other reasons why I'm concerned about what exactly is termed as hacking.
Right.
If I guess Chris's password, I've hacked his Facebook.
Well, but there's...
Or I just leave it open on my computer screen.
Hacked it.
But there's like I can see a bit of an argument for that, right? Like, if you're trying to guess somebody's password, that crosses an ethical line,
not
right?
Not even guessing. I know his password. I've hacked him. I think that's how some people consider it.
So okay, so let's actually dissect the chain of events that happened here. Okay, so Russia bought ads on like someone from Russia, not even Russia as an entity, but someone in Russia bought ads on Facebook that promoted an event for Pokemon Go.
Yeah, it was Facebook, Tumblr, and Reddit, I want to say, who really got promoted.
Of course.
So how does that exactly classify as a hack? You know, like this is why I have problems with the terminology that's associated with a lot of this.
Well, it's because hacking is one of those buzzwords that when you throw it out into the mainstream media, people who don't understand technology go crazy over it.
Right. And so, you know, basically what they, you know, and I think the next buzzword that you're going to hear associated with this is targeting, right? That they used the targeting of Facebook. Well, every fucking page that buys ads on Facebook, including our own, uses targeting. It uses audience targeting. You know, that's just to be able to get your ad to the people who give a shit about it.
Yep. We don't want to market to the 70-year-old lady who's never played a video game.
Right, exactly.
She's probably not going to be into the show.
Exactly, right. So, you know, there are some important factors that go into understanding targeting and why that's exactly a big deal. But that it's not a hack, though. Like, they used perfectly legal methods to be able to do this, and that, I think, the fact that people weren't educated enough to be able to figure this out, the fact that people as individual citizens weren't smart enough to kind of decode this on their own. I think that's the way bigger problem than, you know, Russians hacking things or supposedly hacking things.
I mean, so gullible. Imagine what you just said as a headline, right? Russians use perfectly legal means to try and, you know, raise racial tension.
Right.
No one's going to say that, definitely.
No one's going to read that either. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't think a lot of people read the story as it is. A lot of people, myself included a lot of times, will see a headline and then just keep scrolling, but then later bring that headline up to people, having not read it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I do always preface it with, look, I didn't read the story, but then what do we start doing? We start talking about even just the idea of what might have been in that article.
We operate on the assumption that what we think happened.
Yeah. So
well, it's like when, you know, my favorite one is on Yahoo. If you just like ever have a chance to scroll through the news on there, read the comment section on there.
Oh my gosh!
And try to figure out
YouTube
how
YouTube is bad. Yahoo's a whole nother animal.
Dude, try to figure out how many of those are bots or are paid for. Because like when you look at them, they all have like the same like image, not the same image exactly, but it's just like a really it's a stylized version of their first name. Like, it's like if your first name is Jacob, it'll just be like a J. Like, no one actually has a picture or a like something that they created and put in there. It's either a default or...
I was going to say default sounds fine, because I feel like a lot of people who probably comment on YouTube don't make like a habit of it. They just happen to see a story and, you know what? I got to comment on this.
On Yahoo, you think?
Yeah.
Ugh. It's there's nothing good. There's not a single good message anywhere on there.
No.
Nate, I don't know if you've ever gotten to experience the Yahoo comment section.
Oh, sure.
If you think YouTube's is cancerous, try the Yahoo one and just think like how many of those people are bots.
Yeah, the botting is definitely problematic. But again, you know, like I do question you know, the term hack.
Oh yeah.
And how that's being applied to things, because it's being used too broadly for any sort of comfort on my level, because eventually there's going to be calls to outlaw hacking, and then that's going to be a completely different conversation that we've got to be prepared for, because that is going to come down to, you know, software, hardware rights. You know, you want things like right to repair to stand, then this is going to be a fight that you know, you're going to have to be well educated for.
Well, yeah, because all the people that will then get to determine the laws involving hacking and technology have no idea how any of it works whatsoever.
Exactly, yeah.
Can we hack into the next story, please?
Wow. Tekken,
They're such a hack.
Yeah.
Tekken is dropping tutorials, joining the growing list of fighting games that don't see a point in having them. Tekken 7's producer Katsuhiro Harada has said that when they look at the numbers, a very, very small percentage of players actually use tutorials, comparing them to instruction manuals.
So they're just going to hack the tutorials out of our games now?
I mean,
It's because the tutorials on these fighting games aren't really the way people play. They give you like basic, okay, this is how you punch and kick, and here's a couple combos, but it's not the combos that people end up discovering and putting on YouTube for people to learn anyway. So
I could get that, yeah,
These people just can't hack it.
Most fighting games will have like a move list you can look at, right? You know,
Right.
that
and
you
Tekken
can
still
bring
has
up
that
or
in
something.
practice. That's still in practice.
Right, and I guess that makes sense, but I think what you mean is just because they have all those move lists, the way that the meta ends up unfolding, how many of those do you actually
Yeah,
use?
you actually. But the thing is
or
that
are you
you use
able
those
to?
moves, but you chain them together, and you have to
Mhm.
figure out which ones chain together on your own. And you just looked for YouTube, and people have created those already.
And that's the thing. Like so many tutorials in fighting games end up being, here's how you punch, kick, and jump. Well, no shit, it's a fighting game. I think I
Yeah.
can figure out how to punch, kick, and jump.
Sometimes they tell you how to use an advancing guard. That's important.
As I
to
say,
have.
I feel like something like not that I played it a whole lot, but Marvel vs. Capcom with Infinity, right? Like they use the Infinity Stones different ways and stuff. Like I could see something like that having some type of tutorial that explains the different uses for the stones.
but like a mandatory tutorial or even
mandatory. That's silly.
What? There's no mandatory tutorials. in
This
that.
wasn't mandatory.
But
That's why I said very
any
few
kind of
players.
tutorial these days is just, it does seem a little bit heavy-handed, and I think that especially with a game like Tekken that has such a long lineage, is if you have a sandbox mode where you can just kind of figure things out, that's all you really need.
Yeah, and Tekken has a sandbox practice mode as well as a list of all the moves, and that's really all you need.
But I thought it brought up an interesting point. Are tutorials going the way of the instruction manual?
I mean, yeah,
When's the
I
last
think
time
so.
you read an instruction manual?
Well, they don't have.
Well, they don't have them anymore. So
because I tell you what I used to do with instruction manuals, like if I bought a new game but didn't have time to play it, is when I knew I worked or was at school the next day. Like in anticipation, yeah, like that, because that's the only taste of the game you could get till you got
Yeah,
home.
I would bring it to school, show it, tell my friends, and I was more interested in character biographies and stuff than I was in the actual tutorial part.
Yeah, that's true. See, there used to be they'd expand on the lore in instruction manuals way back in the
Like,
day.
here's the character, here's how old they are, here's where they were born, and sometimes they would list their birthdays. Like I still know that Cloud shares the same birthday with my mom. Like it's just a thing I know.
That's what we need. We need the tutorials in games to expand the lore.
Well, I remember reading an article, and this was a long time ago. It actually might have even been in like a PlayStation magazine or something. Yeah, like it was a long time ago, that the instruction manuals in games used to be an extension of the overall presentation of that game. Like they kind of added to the overall product of it, and then eventually they were just like a cheap little insert. And you're right, now they're just completely gone altogether, because why spend money on that?
Yeah.
All right, guys, from the news desk of cringe, IGN has acquired Humble Bundle. The company, which has raised over $100 million for charity, has not disclosed the terms of their acquisition by IGN. However, representatives for both sides have said Humble Bundle will continue to operate independently of IGN, with IGN executive VP Mike Galbraith saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
You're a bitch.
I mean,
just the line "IGN acquires Humble Bundle" is one that made me like visibly cringe.
Yeah, I mean, look, they can say all these things, and for a few months or a few years, maybe even, they could probably adhere to that. But earlier we talked about this idea that a lot of charities can be really shady. You see a lot of people who are always claiming, oh, this charity doesn't give this much back, or this charity gives this much to its shareholders, or whatever. And now at any point IGN could decide how much actually goes to the charities and how much they keep themselves.
I mean, but again, it's there are rules for that. Like there are very specific laws for that. But it's more like, a nonprofit can end up using resources more for promotion and less for the actual charitable cause, especially if it's something that's ongoing. I don't think that you have to worry about a lot of the money getting back to necessarily IGN, because I think that they have to run these two businesses quite differently. Mm-hmm. They have to run them quite separately. And so I think what this does is that it allows Humble Bundle to have a wider promotional scope. IGN has a very large audience and a very large sounding board that it can use to get that message out very quickly. So I don't know. I think that a lot of the reactions to this have been very mixed. Mixed, falling on the side of very negative. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, just because I don't know enough about IGN as a company outside of what they publish, right? Like outside
Right.
of the stories that they put out there, outside of the public face that they present. I honestly don't know that much about the company. I know that they're very embedded in the industry. I know that they have a lot of connections with publishers and developers because they are responsible for breaking a lot of the stories. Anyone who has come out in the last 5 or so years that's had a really successful, like, independent online gaming media venture has pretty much come out of one of two camps. It's either been IGN or GameSpot, and if you track their resumes back. So I have opinions about IGN as as a journalistic resource and source that is not necessarily the most positive, but as a business, I simply just don't know enough about them to really say one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, this could go either way. I'm always nervous when people who review games are now own a company that makes a game. That worries me. Because Humble does have some development staff that make their own games now.
Yep. Right, yeah,
so that's always concerning to me.
Sure.
That said, yeah, I mean, I'll give them a chance. Maybe IGN will just, keep their distance and just say, hey, listen, this could be some cool cross-promotional opportunity, and we'll leave it at that.
Right.
Here's hoping.
I don't know. We'll see.
CCP Games, the developers of EVE Online, have announced an upcoming spin-off game for the Android and iPhone. The game titled...
EVE Go!
No, the game titled Project Aurora is being developed by a Finnish studio called PlayRaven. The game will be releasing in a handful of countries soon before a global release sometime next year. The game looks to be a scaled-down version of EVE, though, of course, to what extent it's scaled down is hard to say until we actually get our hands on it. But it looks kind of neat.
I mean, gotta get everybody into that mobile
EVE Online
market.
came out in like 2003. You could probably do a fairly decent version of EVE on the phone at this
EVE
point.
has always been trying to do these really unique things. Like, what was their one spin-off game where
Project Valkyrie. EVE Valkyrie, I'm sorry.
EVE Valkyrie?
Yes.
Oh, did that ever do
The
well?
shooter game?
Yeah.
I have that
It did
game
okay
on
for a
VR.
bit.
Yeah, I mean...
You have it on VR?
It's in VR, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I mean, it's you fly around and you shoot things in a spaceship. It wasn't anything too insane.
It wasn't as good as Battlefront 2.
It doesn't have
No, it
much of
wasn't as good as
an.
Battlefront
It doesn't have much of a narrative that I really saw. So it's just like, here, go.
Have you played it since you moved out?
No,
it was.
no.
It was
It's
a
like-
really bad game.
It's cool for that first time that you get to go into VR and experience what VR is. But again,
And then
just
you realize they
flying around
hacked you
and
for
shooting
$40.
stuff.
Yeah, kind of. It wasn't great. Like they had a lot of cool ideas for what it was going to be. Like they wanted it to originally. Oh, I might be thinking of Dusk 451 or whatever.
That's what I was
That's
thinking
what I might be
of.
thinking of. The game that was supposed to be like the FPS, like the planet side version of what was going on in Eve.
Yes, yeah.
I remember that. I don't know
Whatever
whatever
happened
came
to
of that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do not know. I remember it being in like beta testing. Did they scrap that? Anyone who happen to know?
That's a good
Chat,
question.
that's one down to you. Do you know what happened to that?
Yeah, I'd love to
Because that
know.
was like conceptually, that was awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree because I remember when reading about that, there was a whole lot of interconnectivity between that game and the main EVE client.
People are
And
saying EVE the next generation.
It was shut down. It never came out. Damn.
Oh, that's too bad.
Or did it actually release? Or
I
did
don't.
it just
I don't
end?
know. I would not be surprised if it just got shut down. But the thing is that I think that it presents the most opportunity. There is to do something that has meaningful interaction with the actual online client.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about that thing where like you could be doing a battle on this planet, and then you could just get nuked from orbit because someone in EVE nuked the planet.
Right. That would be awesome.
That's sweet, right?
Rude.
Don't you also though? Because if it's connected to the game, while I understand that that's a cool perk for someone who plays the game wanting to get into the mobile market, you don't think that then closes off someone who might have joined the mobile game even though they don't play the actual online game?
I mean, at this point, who's your audience for that?
Well,
if you're not trying to get EVE players to, what I mean?
It's just a new game. I mean, it's the same people that you would market to if you were making like some type of new space mobile game. Basically,
I think that has a very limited appeal. I would just try to go for the EVE players.
I think I would too at this point. Like you can call it Project Aurora and try and make it look like something different, but like I don't know, like in the realm of Star Citizen and things like that, coming down the pike, like is there going to be a big market for this? If you call it Eve, at least you're going to get a huge chunk of players from there.
From the Eve, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't know,
but
man.
you could do that still just calling it Eve. Like, you don't actually have to attach it to the main game to try and draw the Eve people in.
In the ongoing debate whether cross-platform play will ever happen, Xbox chief Phil Spencer is apparently getting impatient. He said Sony is the ones applying the brakes and has called them out, saying they should state concretely their stance on cross-platform play and their reasoning behind it.
Anyone surprised? Anyone?
That
Anyone?
Sony's the one holding it
That
up?
Sony's the one that's pumping the brakes on
or
that one?
that Xbox is calling them out for it?
No. I'm not. I mean, yeah, no. Phil Spencer can be a G when he wants to be, but
My question is, if
words that I thought I'd never have to say out loud.
if Sony doesn't respond, or if they just keep their mouth shut, just
Of
keep doing
course
what
they're
doing.
gonna keep their mouth shut.
So how much
you
do-
think
no, that's
Sony's
not-
out of their fucking mind?
It's not the full question. How much do you think this would or will hurt them?
Oh, this doesn't put any pressure on them at all.
Yeah,
At all.
I don't think so either.
At all.
Sony's like, look, if we squeeze Microsoft out of the console market, you don't need cross-platform play.
If we're the only ones left.
I'm of the opinion anymore that fucking no opinion out there matters, specifically when it comes to gaming. That we can sit here and bray and bitch about things like microtransactions all that we want. We can sit here and bitch about non-cross-platform support all that we want. The game companies make enough money, regardless of what their decision is, that it doesn't fucking matter to them.
Yeah, T. Capelli pointing out that Sony controls 3/4 of the console market right now. Why would they play nice with the other quarter?
Why?
It only
they
hurts
have
them.
no reason to.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't benefit them in the slightest.
And the thing is that no one's going to sit around and call Sony an asshole when clearly they're being an asshole.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there's going to be no boycott of Sony products.
No.
There's going to be nothing.
Yep.
And that to me is frustrating to have a fucking an audience that's so complicit that it's for the game that I like, so I can I'll just buy the microtransactions. Oh, it's this is a game series that I've been following since I was 9. They're shitty practices. I'll make an exception for them.
You're
It
welcome, Square
sucks.
Enix.
It fucking sucks.
Yeah, and
we have to make those kinds of decisions more and more every fucking year. Like it seems like more and more game companies fall to these predatory anti-consumer business practices, and we put up with them and shell out more and more money. I mean, there's a big backlash right now against loot boxes. You think that's going to do a goddamn thing? You think that's going to stop loot boxes?
No.
Fuck no.
It starts out this way, but in 2-3 years when everyone's doing it now, it's just the norm.
They're already fucking embedded. If we wanted to have this conversation, we should have had this conversation a fucking year ago with Overwatch.
Yeah.
Because that's where it really got...
The next step, though, was all the pay-to-win stuff. I mean, that whole pay-to-win in For Honor, I think, kind of killed that, right? But now Battlefield's coming in about to do the same thing, and if you think Battlefield's going to fail because of it, the hype's too high.
I mean, yeah, there's no way... There's no way.
Even if the multiplayer ends up failing, the game itself is going to sell so much out the door that it's still going to be a success.
But think about the overhead that is involved with something like loot boxes. There is none. If a company's loot box strategy fails, who does it hurt exactly?
Yeah,
if they sell 0 loot boxes, who
literally the only overhead on loot boxes is creating content for them.
Yeah,
and it's so minimal.
Exactly.
And you could sell that if your loot box system failed, you could just sell it as DLC anyway.
Exactly. And I mean, already we've talked plenty about how the fact that the cost versus cost benefit for DLC, like doing. Honestly, what do you think? Like something like horse armor costs to do in development costs.
I can't imagine a ton.
I mean, map packs, that's one thing, okay? Yeah. Right? Like map packs, that's a pretty good piece of content. That's a pretty good piece of DLC.
Yeah, think about, what goes into making like a new map for PUBG.
Weapon skins, right? Like weapon skins. How much dev time do you think goes into that?
Fart.
Like half a day? 2 days, maybe?
Unless you're Square Enix in 2 months.
I mean, like, honestly, like...
Well, I mean, I'm sure it does take a decent bit of work, but in comparison to other forms of content, no.
But how many copies of that gun skin do they have to sell before they've made up their cost?
Exactly, not a ton.
Not very many.
Yeah, and that's where loot boxes are even better, because you might get someone to buy an extra box. But I mean, if you want to talk that route, and I mean, we're going to hit on this in a little bit. We'll talk about it then.
We're going to circle back around to this idea. But yeah, I just, what incentive is there for a game company to stop doing all of these anti-consumer things? I mean, yes, we can sit here and distinguish between good DLC and bad DLC and good DLC practices versus bad DLC practices all we fucking want. But if at the end of the day, they still get to go home carrying the same big bag of fucking money, what is the point?
If the bad DLCs or the bad microtransactions don't kill the game, then there's no reason not to put it in and give it a chance anyway.
I mean, there's very few times where I can think of like a game that has been destroyed by the sentiment. Battlefront 1 is like one of the few that I can think of. But they bank that on like, well, we need an online population for this game to even function.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
yeah, Battlefront 1 and, God.
Guild Wars 2?
No, Guild Wars 2's doing fine. Doing fine.
Still around.
Yep.
But I mean, a lot of these games, even with their online modes, they don't have servers. They're just doing matchmaking and relying on your connection to host the game.
Yep.
What the fuck where is their cost? What are they covering? Why are you paying for it? Why? Somebody explain this shit to me.
Because
why
they want money.
Why the fuck do any of us keep shelling out for this bullshit when we can clearly call it on its face for what it is?
Because fan is short for fanatic, and that's what we all are.
Man, it's fucking depressing.
It's depressing.
It's depressing how, people just throw money at shit.
Yeah, but if you think it's changing, you're delusional.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not.
It's changing, but for the worse.
Exactly.
Well,
I just and discussing it like on programs like this, I don't know that it does anything anymore, because the sentiment doesn't matter. Fucking if you try to organize a boycott, you're an SJW. You know what? Fuck it, man. Like, fine. Have all of your money hoovered out of your pocket for the next 10 fucking years. Fine. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't know why I'm bothering trying to defend your goddamn, your goddamn wallets. At some point, video game companies are just going to give us their fucking games for free because they want them. They want us to talk about them. Like we found the loophole. Jesus Christ! Like you guys are fucked. You're going to be sitting there paying $60 for shit and then $30 more for the fucking maps that come along with it. That should have been included for the first fucking place.
Someone pointed out how
But fuck me. No, fuck me for trying to help you.
Yeah, someone pointing out how map packs used to be free, and you know what? Internships also used to pay.
Wow, that's depressingly
Times,
accurate.
they are a-changing.
I'm just saying, fucking, if you want to jump up my ass for DLC opinions or microtransaction opinions, that's fine. You can do that, but just know that, like, we're on the path to free games for the rest of our fucking life.
I decided the other day, by the way, I'm not buying Shadow of War because I looked it up on Steam. There is already an expansion pack for it. On Steam, you can buy it, and then down at the bottom, it's like, also purchase for $40 the expansion pack, which includes, not a season pass, expansion pack.
Bro, I'm just, listen.
So it launched with an expansion pack.
Right.
Holy shit.
That's fucked.
Yeah, that's too much even for me.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it.
Nope.
I mean, I do not understand the psychology of buying into a lot of this shit. I just don't. I really, really don't. Early access is maybe, I mean, it's been abused like fucking crazy.
Well, yeah,
but early access might be one of the only things that I think has come around recently where I've been like, okay, that I see some value in.
See, here's the problem. Even when there's value in something, because there are some companies that do it well, but like you said, when companies don't do it well, there's no negative impact from them doing it poorly.
Right.
So even when you have something that can be done well, it ends up being perverted Because there's no reason not to do it to try and get as much money as we possibly can for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it's like we've said forever, all news or all press is good press, and so even when you do get a big backlash over something you do like that, it's just spreading the word about your game.
Yeah, I mean, look, hate loot boxes as much as you want. I think they're exploiting us as much as you want. For esports, they're fucking brilliant. Like, they do great things for esport. Look at the fucking international, right? You take some of those profits, put it towards your esport, towards development, and also into your pocket. Boom.
Yeah.
There's no, like, for something like League of Legends, Dota, or Overwatch, there's no negative reason or no reason why you wouldn't throw loot boxes in there. But then people like Shadow of War and Battlefront start taking a little bit too far, where you're actually paying to win, to get ahead now. Whether or not EA says, oh, well, the most powerful stuff isn't behind loot boxes.
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we believe you.
Doesn't matter. If I come into that game late, if I don't want to be getting headshotted or taken down, way quicker than everybody else does, if I want to feel like I'm winning, and that's what people want to do, is feel like they're winning, I need to buy loot boxes.
Well, doesn't that $20 million price tag also give us at least a peek into what the profit margins are around microtransactions when they're successful?
Which $20 million price tag?
The $20 million pot at the International. If that was driven by microtransaction sales, doesn't that give you a peek? And Dota 2,
how much money they're making off it?
is a
Absolutely.
dying game. We've talked about this a couple of times. The population, the people that are actually logging in and playing
is decreasing.
is shrinking.
Yeah, because they do actually disclose the percentage of the sale that goes towards the prize pot, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yes, I think they did. I don't remember
It's
it.
like, well, if it's 30%, right, and they had 25 mil, that means that they have another, $50 million?
Just from the microtransactions.
They made a fucking fortune off it.
Hold on. Not all the microtransactions go towards the Dota pot, too. So that's $50 million just from the boxes that are eligible for that.
Right. So, I mean, I think that gives you at least some kind of peek into what the fucking margins are that we're talking about.
Well, Overwatch became $1 billion property in a year.
Absolutely.
I mean, that I think has just as much to do with Blizzard as it does to do with
it
loot
does,
boxes.
but loot boxes definitely didn't hurt that.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Anyway, on to maybe a more fun thing to talk about, I guess. Square Enix has announced a second... Yeah, I know. I then read the first line of the article. I'm like, fuck.
Great segue.
Square Enix has announced a second off-road racing game in addition to Gravel coming out next year. Monster Energy Supercross will be dropping for Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC ahead of the Monster Energy Cup 2017. Guys, is there a market for games like this still?
No.
What was that?
Was there ever a
Monster
market?
Energy race car?
It's like a Supercross event game. Like,
yeah.
I don't remember those games being popular ever.
Nope. I can't name one.
Maybe to 10-year-olds.
Well, don't worry, Nika. There's going to be an FF15 crossover. You can get the Regalia and go off-road with it.
Can you actually do that?
Oh, Jesus.
I don't. Not that they've
I
announced,
thought that you were serious.
I'm
not that
sure
I would
they
buy it
will.
because of that, but I was going to be very amused if they actually put that into the game.
They did do it with Forza.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, what is
Excite Bike? That's the last time a game like this was popular.
What is Square Enix even doing anymore?
It's weird too because I saw the thing for Gravel. I'm like, actually, looks like a fun racing game. Like, I would play this. I wouldn't buy it, but I'd play it.
But two in
a year? That's
within
insane.
the same year?
Yeah, that's insane. There's no way there is a market for Supercross like this.
For a Square Enix developed Supercross.
For any Supercross.
This is a game company that really didn't have a handle on the Z-axis until maybe 7 years ago?
Yeah, that sounds about
Their
right.
jumping was fucked in all of their games for years. I think that's why FF14 didn't have jumping. That's why FF11 didn't have jumping. Like a lot of Final Fantasy games don't have jumping. You just kind of
14
fall
does
like
now.
a rock if you kind of get close enough to a ledge. It's because they did not bother programming a Z-axis for years.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't imagine there's a market for this. I think that's going to bomb. The open qualifiers for the upcoming E-League Boston Major have seen a bunch of problems, but none more visible than players being banned mid-match for cheating. While this is an E-League event, the qualifiers are being managed by CEVO, who are taking much of the heat for the rampant issues. And they should.
This
Holy
is ridiculous.
Shit. I was watching the Twitch stuff. Did you see some of those Twitch videos?
I did not see the Twitch videos, but I was reading up on this because That's ridiculous.
You got players getting banned mid-match, getting caught by like Punk Buster. No, I don't know if it's Punk Buster, but their cheat detector effectively getting caught and banned mid-match.
That's insane.
Which is hilarious when it's a casted match and the casters have to try to explain that. Now, I don't speak French, so I don't know what they were saying, but the reactions that they were giving were hilarious.
Why was the Boston qualifiers in French?
I'm sure that's just like what that particular stream clip was coming from.
I gotcha. But yeah, no, I mean, this is a bad look for E-League for sure.
Yes,
the fact
absolutely.
the fact that it's been that rampant, and you said that CEVO was responsible.
If I'm
for,
E-League, I'm on the phone with CEVO now, and they are not hearing the end of this.
I'm
shit.
dissolving that partnership immediately.
Yeah, like this cannot happen.
No, oh God, no. I mean, honestly, if I were E-League, I would just reschedule the whole thing.
VAC bans, that's what they're pointing out. Thank you. Yes, that was the term that I was looking for. And yeah, like at this point, like do you just start over with like the teams that had players who were banned out?
Yes.
Because a lot of your teams that are qualifying now are teams that just didn't have a person get banned on them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure that there were some kind of qualifiers that were going into that.
Yeah, these are the online qualifiers.
Okay, so you get the teams that would have been in, just on the edge of qualifying. You kick out anyone who was disqualified for cheating, and you have the teams that didn't place the first time go
again.
Yes.
Yeah, you have them go again.
How is this fucking hard? This is not hard. Once there has been that kind of shadow of doubt cast on a tournament, you just fucking wrap the whole thing up. You go, look, you guys ruined it for everyone.
Yeah, you guys didn't just fuck this up for yourselves. You fucked it up for everyone competing today because no one trusts this pool anymore.
Absolutely.
And this is like, if that was the only problem, like it might be one thing, but there was connection issues that were rampant. There was teams were complaining about bad seeding. It was all just horribly handled. And if you're CEVO, this is a huge black eye.
Yeah, I would say that CEVO does not have much of a future of working with other large leagues like that. That's really, really problematic, especially to be running on on the systemic end, and you can't have problems like that. So yeah, I would say if I were E-League, I would rebook the tournament without CEVO involved. I would get someone that I trust with other events involved, and just rebook the whole thing.
I would too. With some large tournaments on the way, Valve has outlined exactly who is allowed to broadcast major events. In short, anyone is allowed to broadcast footage coming from Dota TV, with some restrictions. The tournament organizer has rights to stream in just about any fashion they desire. Anyone else will be allowed to broadcast the tournament, but not with advertising or branding overlays and no sponsorships. In addition, they will not be allowed to use any of the official broadcast content, such as caster audio.
Interesting.
So you can take the video feed off Dota TV and you can broadcast it if you want, but you can't
cast if you want.
But basically, you're not allowed to. You can't get a sponsor say, "Hey, come check out my sponsored stream of this." You can't do that. You can't make it a branding or an advertising thing. It's you streaming this.
Yeah, but I mean, like you could really sharpen up your play-by-play skills.
You absolutely could, and that's what they want.
You could have some homegrown play-by-play, shot calling talent right there.
And they specifically cite that this rule is being implemented for because some people like to listen to their favorite personalities talk about it. They don't want to listen to.
You can have like watching parties with your fans.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely. That's actually kind of cool.
I would love to listen to Skara cast League of Legends Worlds. I would love to hear him do that.
One of the things that I thought would be cool, and if Blizzard adapted something like this, would have been able to do, but the idea of getting people like Chris or Skuro or some of the people that I play Overwatch together once Overwatch League comes out and actually stream it as we're watching it, and actually being able to have it up on stream as well, obviously would go a long way. And you're essentially being an amateur caster at that point.
Yeah.
And that's basically what they want to say, because there were, of course, some official tournament providers who, the ones who are actually organizing around the tournament saying no, wait, this is our tournament. You don't get to just broadcast it. And Valve said, yeah, they do.
That's kind of cool.
They can't steal any of your content over it.
Right.
They can only take what they can get off Dota TV.
Yeah.
But No, they can absolutely broadcast the event.
I mean, that's sort of like what E3 did with their feeds. How in years past, when we weren't able to go to E3 personally, we were able to rebroadcast that and provide our own commentary before and after a lot of the conferences and stuff like that. I think that's a good way to kind of approach new media.
Yeah.
A lot of places don't really have a very good relation with new media. They don't really understand how new media works, and a lot of it is so meta-textual that you really do want to make your content available so that someone can comment on it, because you never know, like that video could get 100,000 views and yours gets a quarter of that.
Right.
10th Tech Priest in chat bottom line. He goes, it's an elaborate community building tool and esports commentary farming plan. And with as big as esports is and how it's all over the world, like this is a great way to, if you need a specific caster for a certain language.
No, I agree.
Absolutely.
I think that's absolutely what it is, and it's a good idea.
I agree. I think it's a very smart idea.
That's all for gaming news this week. Back to you, Nate.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Callie, sorry, whatever your name is today. So we got an email. We got an email last week from a listener named Nick. Who wants to read this email? Someone wants to read it.
I just did the news. Someone else can read
here,
it.
let me get it up here.
Oh, good. Glad to know that you're following along.
No, I just have to switch to the fucking window, but the iPad's stupid.
Yeah, okay.
It is.
So we got an email from a listener, which, by the way, if you want to send us email to this program, finalencountercast@gmail.com is where you can email in. We'd love to hear from you. We have a couple of ways that you can provide feedback. Obviously, you can comment on any of our YouTube videos. You can send us email directly, finalencountercast@gmail.com. You can leave us a review on our iTunes feed. iTunes or Apple Podcasts. It's the same damn software. But those are definitely ways to be able to filter your opinion back to us like Nick did.
I love you guys and have been listening since the beginning. I unsubscribed from LBR and quit listening to that, though, because I stopped playing FF14. That's fine.
Yeah,
okay.
That's fair.
So FEC is like my weekly fix of all Nate's rage, and I love it. Oh, if you love Nate's rage, get ready.
Oh, boy.
What I don't love, however, is that Checkpoint Radio podcast being forced on me in my FEC feed. I'm proud of you guys for branching out and doing a terrestrial radio show. I think it's awesome you get to peruse, I think he meant pursue, your dream of doing this. I've listened to the show, though, and have decided it's not for me, which is also fine, by the way. I know others don't feel the same way I do and may really enjoy it. My opinion is my own, but I've decided to unsubscribe from the FEC podcast until Checkpoint stops being pushed on me. This doesn't mean I'm going to quit listening. It just means I'm going to manually download the episodes I want to hear and quit getting the Checkpoint ones I don't. Thanks for listening to my rant, Nick.
So that was worth sending us an email about?
I don't think it was.
Well, I think if this is an opinion of many listeners, I'd say it's fair that somebody.
Here's how we know it's not an opinion of many listeners, right? Because we had put Checkpoint out through our RSS feeds, and then we got a few emails and messages, so we took it off. And then we were told that there was a noticeable difference in Checkpoint being downloaded. That means more people downloaded it than did not download it. So even though they're not coming out and saying, hey, I like Checkpoint on my RSS feed, there are more people who do actually use it. So this vocal group of people are obviously in the minority.
Well, but I want to explain, though, that, and especially right now with everything kind of being in its very, early stage, that all of our products, all of our entities, they're linked. They're all intrinsically linked, right? So first of all, you're already doing what I was going to tell you to do, which is fucking just don't download the Checkpoint episodes. It's fine if that's not your show. It's fine if you don't like it. You don't have to like it, okay? But unsubscribing from Final Encountercast, that hurts all of the bottom lines for all of the shows. What we need to do is with Checkpoint Radio is decidedly different than what we need to do with Final Encountercast and Limit Break Radio to be able to remain solvent, to be able to put gas in the car, to be able to continue the project. They've got to be different, okay? Again, we said earlier that there are very specific FTC laws, FCC laws about the ways that different shows and radio shows that define themselves on commercial stations versus radio shows that are on public radio stations. There are very different ways that those shows have to fund themselves, right? Through Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast, we can come to you directly as a production company and say, hey, we need your help to be able to run our company. And that's what we've been doing for the better part of 2 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been 2 years that we've been doing that.
Something I'd like to add to that too is that if it wasn't for the future that Checkpoint provides us, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you like FEC, you should want and contribute to Checkpoint doing well. Whether or not you actually listen to it, I guess doesn't matter. But being subscribed to it, downloading it, adding numbers to it, the better that Checkpoint does, FEC will benefit from it.
And not just FEC. I think a lot of us are here for LBR and FEC, but we're only able to make that work because we're working at being able to make our living off Checkpoint.
Yes.
Like if that wasn't the case, we'd be working full time now.
Right.
And we would not be here for LBR and FEC on Sundays.
Exactly. And there's something very important that, you guys have got to understand, and I'm not sure whether you do or not. And I had talked about this. The last time I had talked about this was around the time that I had lost my job. And I was able to stream a lot. I was able to put a lot of effort into Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast, right? So here, the reality of the situation is that I do not have to make content for Limit Break Radio or Final Encountercast or Checkpoint to feed myself. I could be making any number of different shows. This is what I do for my profession. This is what people pay me to do. I make podcasts in my day job. I come home. I make podcasts when I come home for you guys. And do we get something out of it? Absolutely. We get your generous support over at patreon.com/limitbreakradio. And that's fair, right? But if I needed to change my financial situation, the thing that would probably go first is this, because it's bringing in the least for me personally as a professional, because this is what I do for my profession. If I've got someone who's offering me $100,000 a year over here to make their podcast, and Limit Break Radio pockets me as a person $40 a week, which do I take? Right?
Don't
I know
sell
what I'm
out.
taking.
Don't be a sellout.
But the thing is, though,
live in poverty for the rest of your life.
The thing is, though, is that some of us have passed on opportunities to be able to pursue this. Some of us have put other plans on hold to be able to pursue this, because not only do we see the inherent opportunity involved, but we also care very deeply about the success of this company, this project, all of these shows. We love the people that we make these shows for. We love our audience. I wouldn't trade our audience for the world. And I think that, having an opportunity to make radio with my friends and people who I respect and I care about, and I get to talk about something that you normally don't get to hear about or get to talk about on the radio.
Are you doing a second show?
Dude, I'm all shut up. I'm all fucking like that satisfies me on all of my creative points. But if it became a question of whether I had to eat or not, or whether I had to eat off of this, I can't. That is the at the heart of everything, is that none of us can. There's 5 of us involved with this project, and
we do it for effectively $40 a week.
Right. So, before you start getting all like, oh, don't force it down my throat, understand what's at stake. Okay? Understand that, my time can be spent other places. My time can be spent. I don't have to be doing this. I do it because I love it. And I think that that's something that people have missed over the course of this whole thing. That I do this because I've got nothing else to do. That's not fucking true. That's not true at all.
Raise your hand here if between the work you do on LBR, Checkpoint, and FEC, and your job, you work 7 days a week. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of work that goes into each one of these fucking products, okay? So, if you want to help us out, fine, help us out. You don't have to. You don't have to like anything that we do. You don't have to give us money. You'll still get Final Encounter Cast and Limit Break Radio and Checkpoint, not until the end of time, but for as long as we can possibly do them.
Yeah. And I mean, you talk about the importance of Checkpoint succeeding. If Checkpoint fails, we take real jobs.
Oh, I am so fucked if Checkpoint fails,
if Checkpoint
guys.
fails,
Please don't.
That's it. Like, we're taking real jobs.
Yeah.
And we're going off to do other things.
Yeah, like jumping off a bridge.
Well,
That's a real job.
But I mean,
It's a
like,
short job.
let's not even pretend like this hasn't happened once already.
Yeah.
When we all left college, we didn't know what our next step was going to be.
It wasn't LBR.
No, it certainly wasn't LBR. And it just so happened that we found ourselves in places in our lives where we could make another run at this. And what I told you guys then is what I'm holding to today, is that I think that we have enough talent, we have enough work ethic, and we have a strong enough audience that, we can make this into a business.
Okay.
We can make this much more long-term than just, hey, let's get together once a week and record fart jokes.
All right, but...
Fart jokes.
Dick jokes. But...
Dick and fart jokes.
But Nick doesn't like being alerted to Checkpoint
Dick
Radio.
in the fart jokes.
Nick doesn't like being alerted to Checkpoint Radio, so fuck us, right?
Well, but that's...
How do RSS feeds work? Can you set them to automatically download everything, or do they just alert you?
No,
when there's-
you can... It depends on the software that you use. Most of them, you can set it to not automatically download. That you
That's what
can
I was gonna say,
manually download every episode.
That's what I was going to say. Like, he could still get the feed, but not have... He doesn't have to actually get and listen to the episode. And even if you do download the episode, you can delete it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That takes so long.
We're not asking for a lot here, guys.
No, we're not.
We're trying to grow the Checkpoint Radio thing. We're trying to grow especially the podcast. That's something, I don't know if you know this, but our boss has said, like, you need to work on those numbers.
Yeah,
we do.
And we're working on that.
Because again, the process that we're using to be able to fund that project is massively different. It has to be legally. It has to be massively different from what we do here. We can't just go, hey, if you like Checkpoint Radio, go over to patreon.com/Checkpoint Radio and put a little bit of money in our coffers. We can't do that. That's not allowed. Okay? What we have to do is we have to have enough people listening and downloading that show every week to be able to go to an advertiser like Red Bull and go, hey, here are some compelling reasons that you want to put ads on our show.
Yep.
And believe
if we try to do a Patreon thing...
$45 a week now, smile JK. Keep up the good work and thanks for everything you guys do.
Thanks, Mugshot.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's very nice of you.
If we tried to have a Patreon for Checkpoint, is it the FTC who's going to get mad at us? Someone is going to get real mad at us.
The FCC is going to get mad
The
at us.
FCC, yeah,
The
they're gonna get
FCC
real
is going to
pissed.
get directly involved because there are laws that prevent commercial establishments from going and asking for money. You cannot show someone ads. At least you can't. I'm sorry. You can't be on the radio or on
Right.
TV and show someone ads and then ask them to donate directly to you.
Man, the internet's a great place, isn't it?
That would be the second time the FCC has come after my family.
FCC stands for fuck Chris's cash.
No, it's literally the FCC. They seized my dad's pirate radio station when I was like 11 or 12.
Your dad had a pirate radio station?
Uh-huh. In Livingston County.
Man after Dave's heart.
What was he broadcasting exactly?
Music. I actually broadcasted on there.
What kind of music?
Anything. Like he had like this all huge like wall full of vinyl records.
Interesting.
More than
So
that.
stuff he hadn't paid for the rights for. Is that what that?
So the FEC.
There's pirate radio, man.
So the FCC came and like kicked down your doors. Did they have like batons?
No, they came when we weren't home, but they came through the back. They took all of the equipment in the basement, which included stuff that was not radio related, left the gate open, which subsequently let my dog out. And we had to go find my dog.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So hold on. There are people like, who get raided by like police and SWAT and like shot at, but they left your gate open.
Yeah.
Aw, darn.
What dicks?
I'm just saying.
That is kind of a dick thing. Like, of all things, you could at least close the gate.
Yeah.
Especially if there's dog.
They left the door open and the gate open.
White privilege, everyone.
What?
Master Q Fox in the chat. YouTubers show ads and then ask for Patreon donations. Yes, that is true, because the same rules that apply to broadcast organizations do not apply to the internet.
Yep.
That's why we can say fuck, shit, piss, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat. There's a little bit more.
Turd?
Yeah, turd is one that you can't
Turd.
say on the air. Yeah.
Really?
Tits, fart, turd, and twat. Those are
4 T's.
Those are yeah.
Well, and an F.
Turd burglar.
Absolutely
yes, the internet
not.
rocks.
Internet's still the
I know
wild,
that
wild west.
I knew that I threw a couple of extra in there, but again,
No, you sing that song. There's a song that sings.
it's a Blink 182 song, but it's actually it started life as a George Carlin bit, which is the 7 words
George Carlin.
the 7 words you can't say on television, which I think got extended to the 9 words when he added fart, turd, and twat, because those were late additions. But it used to be shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. Those
Tits?
yeah, tits.
Damn, really? You couldn't say tits?
Can't say tits. Can't say dick either.
Can you say breasticles?
You.
It's not actually a real word, but then again,
It's not a real word, but
I
it's
don't
2
know.
medical terms.
I don't know.
Is this why Jerry
honestly.
the King Lawler said puppies?
Yes,
You
that
couldn't
is
say
probably
tits?
why.
Damn.
Yeah. Listen, anyway, so the same rules that govern, broadcast organizations do not govern the internet. That's why you can have both an ad-driven and a fundraising campaign, right? Like you can have both of those in tandem if you're an internet company, and that's why we've been doing it. And so far, we haven't had to apply very much of what we've raised through Patreon to Checkpoint, which makes them pretty much separately funded entities. So that's kind of the good news there, is that if we spent any of the Patreon money on Checkpoint, we would have to very carefully justify all of that. There would be paperwork that's involved with that kind of shit. Okay, so you guys,
We don't like paperwork, so we're not doing it.
but you guys have got to understand though that the funding for that still has to come from somewhere, right? And what you're responsible for, what you can help us with, instead of like Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast, instead of giving money directly to Checkpoint, what we need you to do is we need you to essentially be our DIY street team and telling everyone downloading at every possible opportunity, and trying to help you guys help us get our numbers up there, right? We don't want to do shady shit. We don't want to. But you know what? We don't want to pay a bot farm to click on a MP3 10,000 times so we get that kind of fucking traffic.
Love all
Love
three of
all
our
three of
radio
our radio
shows. Listen to it
Boom.
every week. Keep up the awesome
Boom!
work.
Boom!
Viscera.
I shouldn't love watching my tits explode.
I know.
But God damn, I do.
Thank you so much. That is so nice of you. Thank you. Very, very appreciated. But look, like. We have to be responsible. You guys as listeners have to be responsible for pushing those listens as high as possible. I absolutely refuse to do something like paying a site or a service to give us bullshit traffic to be able to get our first advertiser involved. And that's what most places do. That's what most places do, whether you're a fucking YouTube channel, whether you're a Twitch channel, whether you're a new podcast. Most places pay for that kind of traffic initially so that they can convince advertisers to get in with the brand, and hopefully they'll like the brand when they get involved. We refuse to do that. I refuse to do that. I think that is just building your product on a house of fucking cards. It's building your foundation in quicksand. I refuse to fucking do that.
We don't want to have to pay Russia to hack us views.
Exactly.
Nice.
But so that, I mean, I guess that's our simple way of saying, like, listen, if you want to unsubscribe because you don't like Checkpoint, fine. Fucking, it's your world. You do whatever the fuck you want. But these are all the reasons why that decision actively damages not just the product that you already like, but 3 products under a single umbrella.
Yep.
It's difficult. This shit is difficult. And I'm not saying that to complain. I'm saying that to just give you an idea of what is involved in running a business like this, because I don't think that people are transparent enough when they talk about the business side of what they do. I think the only person that I've ever heard really talk about it in ways that I was like, oh, I really appreciate that, was Jim Sterling. That's so far been the only person that I've seen talk about the money that he takes in and what he does with it and how he spends it, where I was like, okay, I appreciated hearing about that. You don't hear about it very much at all. At all. And, you know, if we're going to sit here and criticize, Susan G. Komen, or we're going to sit here and criticize, any of these charities, the Red Cross, for taking in money and then not being transparent with what they do with it, we can hardly sit here and do the exact same fucking thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's fair to anyone who gives us money.
Yeah,
and I don't want to do that. I simply don't want to do that.
Literally tonight, we're having a staff meeting about finances.
That's right.
Like, that's what we're doing after LBR tonight.
Yay.
So yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
I know.
always exciting. We love finance
So
discussion.
fucking exciting.
I like it.
I know you do.
It's numbers and spreadsheets.
Great.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, this is just this is a pretty complicated thing to try to start and to do. Especially, I mean, again, we talked about this earlier, but man, especially none of us coming from an IGN background or a GameSpot background, we're not really bringing a whole lot with us besides the people that we have convinced with Limit Break Radio.
Yeah.
And that is a fairly small, well-knit community. And I honestly I think what bothers me about this email the most is that this is an FEC listener listening to Checkpoint and deciding, it's not for me. Like, honestly,
how is that possible?
It's a tuned down version of FEC that's made for the fucking radio. I don't understand that. I have an easier time understanding Limit Break Radio listeners that can't make the jump to FEC, or Limit Break Radio,
vice versa.
Yes, or vice versa, because that is much more tightly focused.
If you don't play 14, I don't expect you to listen to LBR.
Totally.
Ragan says
there are people who do, but I think it's a minority of people.
Ragan says 30% of IGN pages are full of ads, and someone complains about an RSS link.
That's my fucking point. That's my fucking point. Like, dude, we don't put ads on our website. We don't put ads on our podcasts. We don't put, we could very easily sign up for AdWords or banner word, ad banner, whatever the fuck it is, the Google thing tomorrow, and
type Limit Break Vape to get 30% off your vape sale.
Dude, we could
30%. Wow.
If you think for a half a second that we have not been approached by fucking vape shops for this show and for Limit Break Radio, you're out of your fucking mind. But I'm not going to promote shit like that. I'm not going to take that money. I'm not going to promote that garbage. I don't know what it does. I don't fucking vape. I'm not going to, I'm not going to encourage anyone else to do it either. Especially if your fucking lungs start growing mold in 5 years, I don't want you to come back to me and try to hold me responsible. Fuck that shit.
The only thing we're responsible for is Hulk AIDS.
We got to get rid of this vape culture in America. I got to tell you,
it's sort of, dude. It's sort of like
it's better than a smoking. So I'm not gonna.
I don't know that. I honestly don't know that. I don't think it's been around long enough for anyone to know that. But anyway, my fucking point is that, like, if you think that we haven't been approached by a site like fucking like G2A or like fucking Gold Sellers or know what I mean, like fucking all kinds of shit end up approaching us as a channel, and we got, no, we're not fucking interested in that garbage.
Bro sale.
Why would we? Why would we? It's not something that I would buy. If it's not something I would buy, I'm not going to try to sell you on it.
So here's the only thing about this that just confused me, and you kind of hinted at, is like, if you like FEC and you don't like Checkpoint, I don't get it. Like, and this is nothing against LBR or FEC, but Checkpoint is far and away the product that I am most proud of week in and week out. I think it's our best material.
Oh, definitely.
Every single week, like from production, just it's so concise and quick and just very. We don't. There's no fluff to it.
There's no fat.
There's no fat.
We've trimmed all the fat off that show.
We literally trimmed fat out of the show.
If I was ever going to recommend one of our products,
if
I was going to ever recommend a product to a family or a friend, it would be Checkpoint.
Yeah.
I don't get how like that's the one people are like.
Yeah, and
Well,
for
it's because
those
it's
of you.
filtered, and let's be real though, a lot of our longtime fans stick around because of how unfiltered we are. And
That's
I think
true. It is unfiltered, but like it's unfiltered in that we don't cuss because we'll get in trouble with the FCC. We still call out bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
we took Atlas to task.
Hell yeah, like that's,
Nate almost spoiled the end of Persona 5 until we hit him.
The middle of Persona 5.
All right, the middle of Persona 5.
Turds.
But listen, I mean, like, it's just, you're right. I don't understand how that's the one that you know, people are, you know, having a tough time with, or people, you know, fans of ours or people in our audience. I agree. I think that it's, you know, it's probably our best product. You know, man. Oh, well, thank you, Berserker. Thank you.
Sweet.
Oh,
very nice.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, no, I totally agree. If I was going to recommend anything that we make to, you know, a family member or a friend or something, I would say definitely start with Checkpoint. I think that that's your easiest point of entry. And I mean, it's not. I love how unfiltered we get. I love how, you know, hilariously raunchy we get. But you know what? Like, that's not how FEC necessarily started. You know, FEC took a while to build. Like,
It did.
It was originally built as a news show.
Yeah.
It was going to be news, and we were going to try and do like a 3-hour discussion topic like we do with LBR, and we were very quickly like, that ain't going to work.
Right.
Tits.
I just, I do not understand, other than it's new, right? Like, that's the only other thing that I can think of, is that it's new. People aren't used to it.
That's true. There is always kind of that, like, oh, I don't want new things. I want more of what I get already.
Right.
You know what kind of people
that's
don't
true.
like Checkpoint? The people who don't want politics in their games. Yeah.
But you talk about that. We revisited that discussion on Checkpoint this week.
We did.
And guess what? We had it without all the screaming. It was very level-headed, and it was a great discussion.
It was an awesome discussion. And I think, you know, for as much as, you know, all of the emotion that got let out during that discussion last week on FEC was needed, I also think that, you know, it allowed us to come to the table on Checkpoint and not have to work through the emotion parts, and we were able to get to a more productive conversation faster.
Absolutely.
And
which is good because we only had 12 minutes.
That's true. And that's, you know, that's I think the interesting thing about Checkpoint is that, you know, it forces us into a structure, which is something that we're not, I mean, we're kind of used to, but not really, right? When
We're more used to it now than we were about 6 months ago.
When we come up with an outline, though, you know, we're pretty much willing to scrap any part of that outline for an interesting discussion that has momentum. We don't necessarily do that on Checkpoint. You know, even if something has momentum, there has to be a definitive point where we kind of cut it off and move on to the next thing, because if we get too bogged down on something that's circuitous, or if we get too obsessed on a point, like, it gets boring to listen to.
Yep.
And so it forces us to change up the way that we do the show, that we produce the show. And I think that all of those are interesting and have been challenges that we've been able to rise to. And again, look, if you don't like it, you don't like it. You don't have to like anything. I'm not telling you got to like anything. But you know, in terms of, you know, where we're looking towards the future, what we need to pan out to be able to make this whole project, Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast included, viable, is something like Checkpoint Radio panning out. Because what we've found is that, for as as much money as people have made off of things like YouTube or Twitch and things like that those mediums, especially recently, have been shown to be susceptible to fluctuation.
Unreliable.
They have cracks in them.
And like I was saying earlier, we don't want to build our foundation on quicksand. And you look at something at like YouTube and you go, oh well, how could that ever? You guys are crazy for not taking more advantage of YouTube. And then 6 months, six fucking months later, the adpocalypse happens, and then everyone's like, oh, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So you know what? Like this is what we have decided to pursue. This is what we've decided to pursue as a company, and I think we're better for it. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. You don't have to download it. You don't have to listen to it. But if you don't, there might be consequences that you don't like.
Yeah. What I'd like to add on to that too is if you are one of the people that already download it, or like T. Capelli, you download it twice for us. Thank you.
You're a hero.
And if you want to help
you the real MVP.
Contribute even more, it may seem like the stupidest, smallest, most insignificant thing, but liking, retweeting, resharing like posts and crap on Facebook or Twitter helps.
The shares on Facebook especially is such a big one.
Like every few days. In fact, if we don't do it, we get yelled at by Nate. So, like every 3 or 4 days, I'll hop over to Twitter and just like and share everything.
So, there's definitely things that, even if you can't help out at patreon.com/limitbreakradio, that you can do to help out the company. Again, retweeting, sharing, being active on social media, those things definitely help. Another thing that helps is just actively telling your friends about discussions that we've had on the show. When you hear things on the show that you do have a discussion about, remember to give us a plug. It's little stuff like that that really helps people find the show and helps open us up to new audiences and new possibilities. And that's, at the end of the day, all we really want. I understand that doing a show like this is mostly ego driven, but I think that it's pretty amazing that, at the end of the day, and I think that this is something that I picked up from Dan Harmon. This is a quote from Dan Harmon, not to throw more Dan Harmon onto the show, but I think it's pretty amazing that you can have something that is ego driven, but you're also going like, I just want to be the guy that makes other people smile or laugh or bring joy into their life, talk about something that means something to them, that has resonated with them on an emotional level that other people won't spend the time to actually give legitimacy to. I'm doing that. I'm trying to do. I want to be your guy. And you know what? Like, we want to be that show that is that representation of like, this is what the gaming community can come together and put together and present. That is the best aspects of gaming, not the most salacious, not the most controversial, right? Like this is what, when you think of Checkpoint Radio, at least what we want is for that to be a show that you could show your parents and have a discussion with them about something on the show. If we hit on an important point and you think that you could share that with another human being, like, that's what we want to be able to do. Those are the kinds of discussions that we want to be able to inspire. And you know what? You're not going to be able to do that by taking a controversial stance every time. We have moral stances that we take all the fucking time, whether it's on this show, whether it's on Checkpoint. Those don't get stripped out. But all of the controversial shit, all of the kind of the funny, bullshit that we do over here, a lot of that has to be downplayed because, again, we've got FCC regulations and things like that to be concerned about.
Do you think Wheel of Racism might not go over well for the FCC?
Don't think so.
Think they get mad about that?
It's hard to contextualize MMO races in real life.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially because it was just, Yeah,
especially in 12 minutes.
Because it was that was applied strictly to MMO races.
And we were spinning a wheel that was totally like made up bullshit. It wasn't like anything
Exactly.
Guys, there is a games journalist that got flamed on Reddit because he had to stop playing Shadows of War because of orc slavery.
Oh, I read that article. That was interesting.
I think it was all satire, but that didn't stop Reddit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Huh.
It
anyway,
rarely ever does.
Yeah.
I mean, FF11 had a lot of Galka slavery. What was
that actual thing
for that?
But that's politics in my video games, Nika. I don't want politics in my video games.
I got 9 inches to donate, but only to Kali. Hashtag size of queen.
I'm getting an extremely gay vibe.
Yeah, there. You see?
Anyone who openly broadcasts it that much is not being honest.
Whoa!
Not to mention, I find it a little disturbing that the day that he comes in makeup, now suddenly you're all over him, right?
No, in all fairness, Evil Hippie is all over me almost every week.
Oh, gross.
You don't see the tweets. I do.
Gross.
They must be similar to the tweets that I get.
Are they?
They are.
Do people want to put their dicks in you?
I mean, if it's Evil Hippie.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if he goes for you too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If you think this is huge, then you should see my ego.
I gotta say, that is quite an array of people who you would call your type. For someone to be having interest in both you and me, we are the opposite end of the spectrum.
I mean, maybe if you just don't have a type.
Maybe
that's what it is.
Maybe
Absence of type.
Maybe he's pansexual.
Sense of type, though. Yeah, and I guess pansexual.
Omnitypical.
Everyone's their type.
Anyone who wants to touch it can. That's sort of.
That's just called being a whore.
Yeah, that's a slut.
Oh.
I think Evil Hippie's just pathetic.
I mean,
he'll take what he can.
Are you guys slut shaming me?
No, if anyone, we're gonna slut shame me. Have you ever been paid for sex?
I thought we were slut shaming Evil Hippie.
That's what I was
prostitute.
doing.
That's not slut. Slut just means you sleep around.
Yeah.
Oh,
Getting
that
money
makes
from
you
it makes
that
you
makes
a
you a
prostitute. Then,
whore.
never mind.
Yeah, that makes you a whore.
I'll take that. I'll be a prostitute.
Yeah, see, if you grew up at
does
the
sound like a nicer term.
orphanage, you'd know that.
Did not grow up at the orphanage. It's true.
You would have gotten a hell of a whoring education if you had.
I grew up at the rape tavern though.
Let's spend the last few minutes
you
of the
conceived there too?
Let's spend the last few minutes of the show talking about the rape tavern. Because we talked about this 2 weeks ago, and we decided we wanted to do a little social experiment.
Well, full disclosure,
Right.
not every bit makes it to air.
It's true.
This would be one that we wanted to do, and at the same time,
we really wanted to do it because
we tried very hard.
It sounds.
I got inches for Callow. If that helps, hashtag old joke is old.
9.5. Thank you.
Great.
I got inches for Kahlo.
Appreciate it. Okay. A couple of weeks ago, we had talked about the WoW Rape Tavern.
Yes.
And this was a story that came from Motherboard, which is Vice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a subsidiary of Vice. And basically, the story was that the Goldshire Inn on many WoW servers, RP, non-RP, had turned into something of a rape tavern, a notorious gathering point for people to ERP either aggressively or not. And so we decided that we were going to
investigate.
Yeah, investigate and kind of decide for ourselves what exactly was going on at the Goldshire Taverns. We had now granted, we had not done as involved of involved of research as Motherboard did, who went to, I think it was like what, 20
servers and talked to 40 players total. Although I will say that what is the worst rape tavern is now in my Google search history. So,
wow,
great. Of all the times I should have went incognito.
Yeah,
really
you could have avoided that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did our own bit of research, and I don't know if it's that things have kind of calmed down, or this was around a certain period of time.
Maybe
but
in between expansions.
the Goldshire Inn is definitely very well populated. There's a lot of players around there. So basically, the bit that we wanted to do was to catch a predator in Azeroth. We essentially wanted to have Juxta logged in and kind of catfishing someone who is being overly aggressive, because we saw
missed opportunity.
We saw
fat fishing.
That is okay. That is a missed opportunity. Yeah, I'll get you.
Nice.
I'll give you that. But we had Juxta, who was trying to troll somebody into getting aggressive with us. And, part of the motherboard story was that, people would go to the extent of asking for real life phone numbers and addresses, and that if somebody resisted, it would start to get worse from other players in the area. And so we really tried to test that. And tried to get someone who would be overly aggressive with us. And then when they asked for something like our phone number, we were going to give them the studio line.
Right.
So that they would call the show, and then we could have a conversation with them on the air. So none of that happened.
No, not even close.
Chris, what exactly happened because you were in Azeroth for what, a good hour and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of FEC. And basically a lot of nothing. I tried being oh, I'm a new player. Anyone want to RP? Because there's an RP server. And the most I ever got was a random tell from someone saying that they wanted to do nasty things with me and my dog.
You were a hunter.
I was a hunter.
So you had a wolf.
I had a wolf.
Okay.
But still,
and when I tried to get them to elaborate more and get aggressive, they just stopped talking to me.
See, I think the approach that you probably should have taken there was more of I am a new player. Can someone please help me? As opposed to, does someone want to RP? Right? Because if putting RP out there, I think that muddies the water. But when you have a new player, if you were asking basic questions about the game, right?
Well, this is what surprised me too, though, because even going there and ask people RP, like you said, this place we were on Moongar, which is the most populated RP server, right? That inn was hopping. There were people everywhere.
I'm pretty sure that there
Everybody
were
was
more
RPing.
There were more people in that one location in Azeroth than are signed on to Sergeant Tannis.
Is that in the one that's near Ganker's Mill?
No,
it's not that one. Okay,
nope.
It looked familiar.
But anyway, you didn't even get like normal tells from anyone wanting to RP, which really surprised me because everybody was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it doesn't as rampant as that article made it out to be. I don't think it's quite that crazy.
Oh, no. It's definitely not.
Because one of our concerns was kids playing this game, right? And then this isn't to say that a kid couldn't obviously have a terrible encounter on there.
Things happen.
But I don't think that server is necessarily any worse than any other server or really any other game for that matter for someone to have a bad encounter.
Yeah, but I've seen way worse things in 14 than what I saw from what he was dealing with.
But I think it brings up a point that's worth hanging on, and that is that when you read a story and you're presented with a certain context, I think you always have to question it, right? Mm-hmm. For as much fun as we had talking about it, there were enough people that piped up of oh, well, you just took the clickbait on that sort of made us go, well, okay, maybe this was not casting what was going on here.
Right. Maybe we did take the clickbait.
Maybe we did.
Maybe we did.
And if we did, is there something that we can do about it?
Well, here's what I think.
And again, when you're presented with the idea of a rape tavern, that's pretty fucking awful.
That's what is it? Sensationalized?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly the right word.
Mm-hmm.
It's inherently sensationalized. And so when you go and you find out what the truth of this is, and it's just a large collection of players that are mostly talking to each other that it's way more innocuous.
Yeah, see, I don't doubt that what the story talked about happened. You know, I mean, because they talked to 40 different players that all had stories.
Of course,
but this is the thing: if you take 40 people that have had 1 or 2 encounters in years of playing the game, that doesn't really equate to this massive rape tavern. Right?
Exactly, right. And that's the thing, is that, like, why is it that everyone buys the context that they're presented with when, because this happens a lot. This happens when we talk about news stories, when we talk about articles, blog posts.
Let's go right back to the
shared.
Russians hacking Pokemon Go. Most people just see that headline, don't even bother clicking on it, and just go out and saying, "Oh yeah, hey, did you hear that Russia got hacked by Pokemon Go?" No, I didn't. They say it to someone else till eventually it gets to someone who's like, "That wasn't a fucking hack. Did you read the article?"
But again,
no.
when you look at the body of information in the actual article that's even trying to be sensational, you even go, "Oh, well, that's not a hack. That's just inviting someone. That's inviting a bunch of people to a group on Facebook." You know what I mean? Like that's entirely different than hacking Pokemon Go. But it doesn't change the way that the forward promote was written.
Yep.
Wasn't
the article for this originally like Warcraft or World of Warcraft has a rape problem or something like that?
Yes.
Like, holy shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
you're
a
right.
title.
Even that over contextualizes the actual story itself.
Exactly.
The world has a rape problem. There's this one tavern and a few servers.
Yeah.
I mean, again, context is very important. Reading the entirety of something before you parrot it is pretty important. And this just kind of proves it, man. Like, if people are willing to lie about any number of things, from the mundane to the very important. And, if they're willing to lie about how people are acting on a World of Warcraft server, what makes you think that they won't lie about other shit? Straight up. I mean, like that. I feel like that's the world that we're living in these days, and that fucking blows.
That orc slavery story, guess what site that came off of?
No!
Motherboard Vice, and guess why? I took it off the outline this week. Because of that.
Man,
you burned your credentials, Motherboard Vice.
I think that they have. I think
Absolutely.
that they have. I mean, clearly they're employing people that are looking for slights to write about in video games.
See, and here's the sad part, because that story does actually have certain merits to it. Like, I enjoyed reading it, and there's some discussion to be had, but it's nothing to do with this idea that, we shouldn't treat orcs like that because slavery.
Yeah.
I think it's a crazy extension of logic right there. All right, we're pretty much done. I saw what is it? Most Hyperwolf asking if they can call. If you want to be quick about it, Final Encountercast on Skype 810-207-1764. We're going to be really, really quick taking your call, so get right to the heart of your question. But yeah, I think that when considering stuff like that, when considering your sources like that, like, dude, I mean, because that's the thing, and people have said for a long time, man, Motherboard has this bent to all of their articles that it just seems like taking it in a sensational direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if that's necessarily true of Vice as a brand, but I feel like it is, right? Like I feel like
I don't trust Vice very much. So.
I feel like I haven't anymore. Like I can't anymore either. Like I used to be really into Vice. I think that some of the stuff that they put out there is really great, but I also feel like they definitely have a very agenda-driven motive.
That agenda is let's get people to click.
Kind of, yeah. And it doesn't fall along an ethical or moral spectrum. It doesn't fall on a political continuum. It falls on a click or don't click.
Exactly. And I mean, like when you put words like rape in your article head, that's unless someone actually was raped, you're just getting clicks. That's what you're going for.
Yeah.
Now, if someone actually was legitimately raped, you probably should include that in the article head. But otherwise, no. Don't over-sensationalize things for the point of getting people to click on your article.
Well, and it's not just over-sensationalized, it's overthinking.
Yeah.
It's just overthinking of it. I mean, you want to call aggressive ERP rape? Like that, I think
not
is
quite.
that's a logical jump that I can't make.
No. I'm a role player and I can't make that jump.
Right? Like
most Hyperwolf says, if I call, what did we talk about?
Yeah, you know
All right,
what?
show's over.
We're wrapping up today. Most Hyperwolf, shout out. Tune in next time. Tune in. Come back next week at 1 p.m. and join us for Final Encounter Cast. And you can decide what you want to talk about if you call.
That's the point of calling.
Exactly.
You get to say something.
Final Encounter Cast on Skype, 810-207-1764 is how that's done. Set those numbers aside for next time because we'll take your call. We'll be happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But you got to know what you want to talk about, man. All right, that's going to do it here for Final Encountercast this week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us live. We always love hanging out with people live here on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio starting at 1 p.m. for Final Encountercast. By the way, stick around. Coming up at 7 o'clock tonight, and this one goes out to Nick, we've got a live broadcast of Checkpoint Radio. So you can hang out after Limit Break Radio and listen to the most recent episode of Checkpoint Radio. That's tonight here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio at about 7 o'clock. That's going to do it. I want to thank my crew, Callie, Fat 2, Robbie, Nika. My name's Nate. Have a good one. Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncountercast.com. Limit Break Radio and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Nate Bender, Robbie Landis, Callie Sloan, and Kooky Persona. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.